I'm Jensen Xavier. I'd like you to recall our first assignment, the accident report. To recap, an individual by the name of Lee Park suffered an accident in a fitness center. Ask yourselves, could this accident have been prevented? Who is to blame? What would happen if a lawsuit is filed? How will this affect the mindset of each and every individual who steps foot into that fitness center? Needless to say, health is an important commodity. Without our health, we would struggle to get up and carry out our daily tasks, such as going to work, shopping for groceries, or even just working on a school presentation. Good health may start at home with a balanced diet and proper hygiene, but maintaining a healthy and functional body depends on factors outside of the home as well. That's why I'm here today to talk to you about health and safety in the workplace, and specifically why every company needs to have a health and safety system. Now, a health and safety system can be defined as an organized whole with components that work together towards a common goal, which is to reduce accidents, minimize injuries, and overall, to keep employees healthy. Now, implementing a health and safety system will require a significant amount of resources. But making such an investment will help the company benefit legally, financially, and ethically. Let's take a look at each of these aspects and see how they tie into the health and safety system. Now, why is a health and safety system important to a company? Well, simply put, it's because the law requires you to have one. See, in Ontario, we have a form of legislation known as the Ontario Health and Safety Act, or OHSA. Now, the OHSA has many sections that revolve around what is known as the internal responsibility system, the theory that every individual is responsible for identifying and solving any health and safety problems in the workplace. One of the duties of the employer is to implement a health and safety system to ensure that their workers are protected from their surroundings. Also, abiding by the legislation in the OHSA can help to prove an individual's due diligence in the court of law in the event of an escalation due to an accident, for example. Now, due diligence is a defense that is proved when an individual can demonstrate that he or she took every reasonable precaution to prevent an accident. If an employee can prove their due diligence in court, they may be exempt from any charges that they were accused of. However, proving your due diligence is next to impossible if you don't have a health and safety system to begin with. Just as there are benefits for abiding by the rules, there are consequences as well if these rules are violated. If an employer or a company is found to have violated the OHSA, they may be hit hard with a hefty fine. Take a look at this table found from the Ontario Ministry of Labour website. You can see that over the past decade, the number of violations of the OHSA has increased. The total amount of fines has risen significantly from $3.7 million in 1997 to just over $14 million in 2008. Based on historical evidence, the trend shows a rise in this amount for years to come. But a well-maintained health and safety system can help avoid violations of the law and help the company from spending vast amount of money on fines. Now, if this isn't enough to convince a company to invest in a health and safety system, you'll soon see that the prevention of fines is not the only financial aspect that the company can benefit from. All employers value the success of their company. And by success, I'm referring to the productivity. The more productive a company is, the more business they generate, resulting in a higher revenue and profit. In order to be efficient and productive, you'll need to minimize the absenteeism, or the rate at which an employee does not show up to work. From a health and safety standpoint, you'll need to minimize the amount of time taken off due to an injury or an illness. Time off would not only result in lower productivity, but it is also costly to the employer as they need to pay for workers' compensation payments, medical fees, legal fees, and the works. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Costs associated with injured or ill workers also include finding a replacement and training them, accident investigation, and implementing corrective measures. This is all on top of lost productivity. It makes sense, therefore, to spend the money on health and safety system now to avoid spending even more money later on accidents that could have been prevented. So by keeping workers healthy and safe, an employer can reduce the amount of days taken off by the workers, increasing the productivity in the process. Now, for those of you who work in an office and are thinking you don't need to worry about the time off due to injury, think again. While it may be true that you don't need to be concerned with heavy machinery or chemical spills, for example, ergonomics is still an important concept that should not be overlooked. In fact, office workers are still at risk from working what is known as workplace musculoskeletal disorders. such as lower back pain from sitting in a chair for too long. If the injury is not addressed as soon as possible, it can progress and become a chronic condition, and this will affect the individual's ability to work. Now, there are issues other than law and finances that justify investing in a health and safety system. Moral and ethical aspects are also important factors to consider. Human life and human health is just too precious not to look after. And it's not just your health, but the health of others around you as well. If an unfortunate accident occurred that resulted in a loss of a life or a critical injury, nobody wants the feeling of guilt, that feeling that something was done or not done that resulted in the accident. You may have seen or heard of such an event where people are devastated upon the death or critical injury of a fellow worker. This feeling of guilt or sadness may lead to other health complications as well, such as post-traumatic stress disorder or even depression. An employer with such a feeling of guilt has to deal with media coverage as well as possible prosecution. A health and safety system, however, can help to avoid this feeling of guilt, among other unfortunate circumstances. Now, let's get back to the Lee Park accident. With the health and safety system, the accident most likely could have been prevented, which saves the employer from workers' compensation payments, violations of laws and other fines, while ensuring that the company stays productive by minimizing the time lost due to an injury. Now, you probably heard me refer to a health and safety system as an investment, and that's exactly what I think it is. You spend the resources and invest in something with the expectations of a greater return in the future. A health and safety system does exactly that. It will get an employer a financial return while also benefiting them legally and ethically. Now, if you'd like more information on the topic of workplace health and safety, please feel free to leave a comment or a question below. Remember, health is important to everyone, and it shouldn't just start and end in your home. Thank you.